Welcome in to today's edition of USL Pro Weekly. My name's Nicholas Murray. Very pleased to be joined by David Wagner, Operations Manager for USL Professional Leagues. And David, we've got the Los Angeles Blues sitting on top of the USL Pro standings after a couple of really good wins this past week. Last Wednesday, Carl Wyszynski, outstanding performance to earn Player of the Week honours in a 1-0 win against Orlando. And then impressive offensive display against Phoenix on Sunday for a 3-1 victory. Interesting to see how the Blues have turned things around from last season where they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I think last season, and we've talked about it before, is that nothing really seemed to go the Blues' ways the last couple of years. They'd have a bad bounce here, a bad bounce there, an unlucky goal, couldn't quite finish, and it's just been a completely different story this year. We talk about Wyszynski. He was huge against Orlando. I thought he was, man of the match. He came out of his goal really well. He closed down chances. He did what he needed to do to minimize that Orlando attack, and obviously they got the 3 points in the end.
And George Davis getting his second goal of the season as the only goal of that game as well, which is good to see for him. He had 7 goals a couple of seasons ago, but didn't have a goal last season, so nice for him to kind of get back on track and lead the attack along with Chris Cortez.
Yep, and he couldn't have taken the goal any better. Took the ball down well, rounded the keeper. I watched it actually again this morning, and his footwork on it was fantastic, so really nice goal for him to start the season.
Now, elsewhere, Saturday night, Richmond Kickers, they weren't that great in their first game against Pittsburgh, but Saturday against Charleston, we saw the influence of the MLS loan players. You have Casey Townsend scores a pair of goals. Brian Ownby on loan from the Houston Dynamo had a really strong performance, I thought, and a really impressive win for the Kickers to kind of kickstart their season.
Yeah, no pun intended, right? No, after coming out a little bit flat in that Pittsburgh game, I thought that Richmond came out well. You could definitely tell that Lee said whatever he needed to during the week because they came out motivated. They were really clicking, and as opposed to having just sort of first performance where they're sitting back a little bit more, they came out firing, and you talked about the lone impact guy like Townsend had was huge. 2 goals in the game. Great performance.
And then the other impact, Joseph Nguyen, a guy that they had signed midweek, he got the first goal. He got the ball rolling for them. So great to see that guy have an early impact after coming down from MLS.
Yep.
Final topic of the week, Pittsburgh. Great opening night at Highmark Stadium. Great scene, great atmosphere. And the City Islanders had to come in and ruin it for them.
They got the opening goal and everything. Angulo there scored a great one. Started off. Everything was going great. Had the atmosphere, the fans, but in the end, couldn't quite hold on. Late drama there in Pittsburgh.
2 really well-taken goals as well by Sine Toure and Lucky Umkasano. And I mean, those 2 guys had really good performances last season for the City Islanders. You add Jan Ekro into that mix, and they've got a lot of speed, and they're going to be very dangerous this season in attack.
Exactly. We talked about who's going to step up and be that player. You still have some vets returning like Meller and a lot of other players, which are really good impact players. But I think they're a team where you're not just relying on one person. Every week it could be somebody different there. You have a lot of strong talent there, and obviously having the affiliation with Philadelphia doesn't help the type of quality you can bring in with a relationship like that.
All of the games are now available on USL Nation. You can watch them on the archive. And we hope you'll join us on Thursday for the USL Pro Weekly podcast. But until this time next week, for David, my name's Nicholas. Thanks for joining us on USL Pro Weekly.